is a good platform for people to promote causes that are dear to them. And so welcome our next speaker, Remy Ayala.
I'm sure that with everything you've heard today, you will agree with me that having good mental health is important. Having good relationships is important. But why am I speaking about this now? Why does it matter right now? It's because there's a mental health epidemic. And the link between poor mental health and poor relationships is well documented. According to the World Health Organization, over 264 million people worldwide suffer from depression, and over 50% of those develop the illness due to a loss or relationship breakdown. And there's also an interesting Harvard study that says that people with strong social support are 2.5 times less likely to suffer from depression and other mental health conditions than those without social connections. You can see that the quality of your relationships plays an important role in maintaining good mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to have the opportunity to be here to talk to you about these 5 communication hacks, because if you commit to using them and you follow these hacks, it will help you to build healthier relationships. It will also help you to live happier and healthier lives. My first communication hack is honesty. When you have honest communications, it allows you to really connect with the other person. When people lie, it destroys the connection you're building. And as a result, you find you're unable to actually reach that person and have deep and meaningful conversations. And that's why it's really important. But in being honest, you should be mindful about the words you use, because words have power. They have the power to build, but they also have the power to break. There's something called the Toastmasters sandwich. I'm sure you're all curious about this. Well, there's an international public speaking club called Toastmasters, and there's a technique that we use in giving feedback. And this technique shows us how to communicate our views, but without using words that destroy. And we call it the Toastmasters sandwich. And that's because you start with a positive, then you go on to make your recommendation for improvement, and then you finish on another positive. So for example, I have a friend who's just written a book. She gives me her manuscript to read. I don't just jump in with my criticisms. I start with a positive. I really enjoyed the story. It connected with me. It really resonated with me. But you might want to be more mindful about the grammar. There's some errors. There's some spelling mistakes. So you want to get it edited properly. But I think people are going to love the story. Now you can see that that recommendation for improvement sandwiched between 2 positives is more likely to be better received. My next hack is authenticity. You cannot have meaningful conversations without authenticity. Authenticity is about being yourself, having genuine interactions, and being prepared to be open with your thoughts and your feelings. But people like to erect walls. They don't want to be vulnerable, so they build walls around them. And if you don't let those walls come down, you can't have genuine interactions. The key is to allow yourself to be vulnerable. Peel back the layers. Allow people to connect with the real you. Only when you do that can you have strong and deep connections. I've had to learn to be vulnerable with myself. I think of myself as a strong, independent person. I went back to live in Nigeria after 30 years away. And when I arrived, it was really hard settling back in. I was struggling emotionally and also financially. It was really hard. So I joined a running club, and this was to help me cope. I had a good relationship with them. Everything was fine, but I didn't really get to know anybody and really connect properly until one day I opened up about what I was feeling. I opened up about my struggles, and that immediately signaled a complete change in the relationship. So much so that now, 7 years later, I still regard these people as my family. So please allow yourselves to be vulnerable, because that's what will nourish your relationships and give you those deep connections that create better relationships. My next hack is clarity. Clarity is important because if you're not crystal clear about what you want, it creates misunderstandings. And once there are misunderstandings, it makes it difficult to recover and get that connection back. In being clear, be sure to be specific about what you want, and then people will understand you and respond appropriately. I'm going to tell you a little story about Damien. On a hot summer's day, ice cream van rolls up. Damien goes to his mother and he says, "Mommy, the ice cream van is here." So his mother gives him some money. "Here you are, Damien." And then she remembers, "Oh yes, the last time the ice cream man came, he gave me a voucher." So she gives him the voucher as well. So off goes Damien. Damien comes back, ice cream in hand, gives his mother back the voucher. And she says, "Why didn't you use the voucher?" And he says, "I didn't need it. I had enough money." You can see, she might have said, "Damien, here's a voucher, use it." So if you're not clear about what you want from other people, then you're likely to be misunderstood. And these misunderstandings can cause confusion, they can cause chaos, they can cause conflict, and sometimes even wars are started due to miscommunications. My next hack is kindness. Kindness is an incredibly important tool in building relationships, because when you're kind, people are more likely to open up to you. One of the keys to kindness is being empathetic. Try standing in somebody else's shoes, because only then can you truly understand their perspective. Another key is being generous with your time, with your resources, with your support. Because when you are generous, you build a much deeper connection with the other person. My next hack, and my last hack, is smiling. You're on your way to work, it's cold, miserable. You stop for a cup of coffee, and the barista hands you your cup and smiles at you. You smile back, and instantly the day brightens up. Why? It's because the facial muscles, when you smile, they trigger a reaction in your brain, and these releases neuropeptides and endorphins, causing you to feel happiness and elation. But the best thing about smiling, it's contagious. It turns out that when someone smiles at you, your brain is actually wired to return the favor. And that's why we need to smile more. So I'd like to practice this here. Let's try looking at the person sitting next to us And let's see if the other person can resist the urge to smile back. Go on, everybody, just look at each other and smile. Can anybody resist smiling? Okay, you can smile at me. Nobody will be. Anybody resisting the urge to smile? No? You see, I can feel from where I am the happiness and the positivity that's radiating back to me. So in closing, I'd like to remind you of these 5 hacks. And what I'd like to remind you of is that when you're happy, it makes people around you happy. And the people around them are happy as well, creating a virtuous circle of happiness in which we have a happier world. So, ladies and gentlemen, my last word to you is that it's not love that makes the world go round, it's happiness that makes the world go round. Thank you.